Hey friends, it's Melissa and welcome back to Cryptids, where today we're exploring about the internet's favorite cryptid, Mothman. Now, I know I said this in the first episode with Bigfoot, kind of as a joke, but honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do it, and I know you all want mermaids. Mermaids are coming, friends. I am going to do that video next. But I actually thought about Mothman, and his history is actually very interesting. So, his whole reign really starts in 1966 in West Virginia, in Point Pleasant. So, Mothman was a creature that was found, or there were a lot of sightings of him in November through December of that year. His whole main sightings, like the bulk of them, there are some now still, but those can't really be confirmed. These ones, though, are like pretty reliable. And the full range is from November of 1966 to December of 1967. Now, you might be thinking, when you think of Mothman, you think of a bridge. And this is why. Okay, so I don't have it here, but it was said that Mothman was spotted on Silver Bridge, on the Silver Bridge in West Virginia, and it was either between minutes or hours later when the bridge actually collapsed and ended up killing over 40 people. So this could technically make Mothman one of the deadliest cryptids, if that is the case. Some of his hallmarks are, the one that is the most prominent throughout is these glowing deep red eyes. And people have described it like two red spotlights on them. They look like bicycle reflectors. They're that bright when they look at you. There's like some animal disappearances that are related to Mothman, and he's been described as a large flying man with 10-foot wings. And it's very interesting because despite all of this knowledge that we have of Mothman, because it was so jam-packed in this short frame years and years ago, it's kind of one of these interesting phenomena where you're not really sure what's true and what's not. And especially since Mothman has become very popularized in media, you know, the last thing, although it was not good, the most popular, since Mothman was put into popularized media, the most recent attention was in Fallout 76, and we see Mothman there when he's glitching as this very peaceful creature. So it is kind of interesting because he literally looks like an owl, like a giant owl. Which, there's a thing called Owlman maybe you guys want me to talk about. But there's been many movies and many books written about Mothman. But the other thing is that Mothman now is kind of used, Mothman is honored in Point Pleasant, which is kind of weird, but we'll get into that. There's a 12-foot tall statue of Mothman in Point Pleasant, so it is something that people are kind of proud of from there, so it kind of makes you think. But we'll go ahead and get into some theories. We are going to talk about Silver Bridge a little bit. The first sighting was 5 men who were digging graves in Clendon. I'm just going to call it Clendon because that makes more sense. And they saw something fly very low over their heads, and that is what is officially known as the first sighting. That was on November 12th, 1966. Sorry, did I say November? Yeah, November. Just 3 days later, there were some couples who saw this large gray creature with the red glowing eyes, and that's where the original description of the man with the 10-foot long wings came from. And then over days, like immediately following days, there were more reports from like volunteer firemen and the county sheriffs and even biologists, wildlife biologists were talking about this creature that they were seeing. And there were disappearances of certain animals, like a German Shepherd went missing, and it was just very usual. Some people were thinking that it was an extremely large heron, but people weren't necessarily sure a heron could ever get that big. And then one of the last confirmed sightings was of that year was the Silver Bridge collapse, in which 46 people died, which is still very, very tragic. There were some, because the thing about Mothman is he's supposed to, oh, there's a lot of butterflies outside, hello. Look, there was just like a swarm of butterflies. There's been a lot here lately. Anyway, Mothman? Butterflies? Are those moths? What? Hold on. That's kind of weird. Never mind. But anyway, Mothman is a creature that apparently whenever he's around, something bad happens immediately after. So that's one of the reasons, or one of those traits of, that trait is attributed to him because after landing on the Silver Bridge, it then collapsed. And apparently in 2016, there was a published photo that was supposedly Mothman, taken by someone who was anonymous. And some people thought it was like a bird, perhaps an owl, and that there's really zero reason to suspect that it would be Mothman, because there are far too many explanations. I'll try to find that picture, but if I don't, sorry. But that's the most recently confirmed sighting, loosely, I guess. But let's get into some theories about Mothman. So, Mothman could have been a creature that died. Very plausible. There were never multiple there weren't ever sightings of multiple Mothmen. And it also seems whenever you see like pictures and artist renderings, Mothman always looks different. And so it's not necessarily sure if there is just this one Mothman or if there's different iterations that actually exist, or if people are just trying to create their own concept to make a quick buck, which is where a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot, but some people actually think that Mothman was something that was falsely created and perpetuated by the citizens of Point Pleasant. I am not accusing anyone of anything, obviously, but it goes into the whole idea of like tourism. So Point Pleasant is in West Virginia. You know, most people when they want to come to the United States or the East Coast, West Virginia isn't really the first. Sorry, I'm all stuffy. West Virginia isn't normally the first place people think of that they want to visit when they come to the United States or they want to go to the East Coast or something like that. Most people are wanting to go to like New York, Florida, even Georgia, Texas, California, Washington, those kinds of corner states, I call them. So by having the idea of you could see this weird creature that's out in the woods and when you see it, bad things happen, people kind of like messed up stuff like that. And because it's just the idea of this one creature, it could very well be, especially since they've erected a statue for him in 2002, which they've cared to very well. They have an annual Mothman festival, which brings in a lot of tourism for them, and they have different contests and guided tours and all of those other fun traditional event things. So it does kind of bring up the concept, though, of did you guys fake this just to get publicity from it? Because if you did, that is smart. I would do it. But people are really mesmerized by the whole legend of Mothman, and really Mothman is one of those interesting cryptids because I think that Mothman could have existed when I do see that picture of Silver Bridge and then I see later pictures, or earlier pictures. There's a big lump on there that shouldn't be there and is only there in the picture where Mothman is there. And so it is kind of interesting because, you know, Photoshop, that picture was taken from that day and there wasn't really like a wide use of Photoshop or any type of photo, like there was photo editing, but not like to the scale like that. So it's very interesting to think that a cryptid, a creature that could not be proved, caused a bridge collapse that people say there were structures that looked like they were bent or broken when they weren't the prior day or even that morning. So it is one of those things that even though there was this horrible accident or horrible event that happened and we think we know what did it, we can't prove anything. And maybe that's why Mothman's so interesting to me, and maybe that's why he's one of the most frustrating cryptids to like really deal with, is because he has been kind of popularized, and like there's people who make like plushies of this super cute little moth dude, and I'm like, you're not Mothman, but I want you, you know? So that's kind of it on Mothman. He really doesn't have too long of a history. It's not like the Loch Ness Monster where it's been going back forever, but nonetheless, still an interesting creature to talk about. And while I don't think there's a Mothman anymore, I definitely think there could have been. And if there is still one, well, Point Pleasant, you put your money in the right place. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Is Mothman real? And let me know what cryptid you would like me to talk about next. I do have mermaids in the works, don't worry. I just gotta do a lot more research on it because, whew, dang. But yeah, that is Mothman. And you guys can click right here and subscribe and get notified, hit that bell so you're notified when the next cryptid episode comes out. It'll probably be about a week. And if you guys wanna watch another video, be sure to click right over here. I'll let you guys watch my Bigfoot one in case you haven't, but if you already have, feel free to watch something else from the sidebar. Thank you guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.